How are you doing today, Erica?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing really good. It's been kind of a wild week for me. I've released a podcast episode every single day. So every day after work, it's been a lot of, typing up descriptions and editing and uploading and all that jazz. So it's been busy, but it's been fun. So
Congratulations. That's
thank
an
you.
accomplishment because you're back to working full time now.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if that's a congratulations. I enjoyed
not,
being off.
yes, not the working part, but the still getting this important work done while you're working that job
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah, it is important. And a good balance is important as well. But so speaking of congratulations, you now have a car, I see.
I do have a car.
Yeah. The last time you came on a bike.
I did ride my bike here the
Yeah.
last time.
Yeah. How are you liking that?
Um, it's good. It allows me to do more things and execute the organization that I founded, our mission. I'm working with more people that are overcoming homelessness now, but it's a different balance. So I'm trying to find that again. Like a lot of times I just had to say no because I didn't have any way to get there. But now I
Yeah.
can go anywhere. I can help people move things, which I've had the car for about 3 weeks, and I've helped 4 different households move things. So,
Wow.
or get things for their new places and that sort of thing. And it's a small car, so if we're taking a lot of things, then it's a lot of trips. But I've been able to make more meetings and secure more funding, so those are good things. But my mental health and emotional health is fragile, and I know this about myself. So it's just a new balance, and I expected it to be, and it is a struggle to find the balance. So
Yeah, it always is with anything,
yes.
but it's important too. And I think like as time goes on, you'll find that balance. You'll kind of just
Yes.
find where things fit and take on less.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing I struggle with is finding the balance in things because I'm like an all or nothing type of person. Like I'm either doing podcasts a lot or I'm not. And if I'm not doing it all the time, I feel like I'm not doing enough. So it's finding that balance that's important.
It is important.
Yeah.
Never easy.
No.
Yep.
No. Fortunately for me, I have a wife who's like, "Hey, you need to you need to slow it down.
Right.
We need to spend more time together." But yeah. Now, you have an event coming up when September ends.
That is coming
Yeah.
up, yes.
How many years have you done that?
This will be the 6th time that When September Ends has happened.
Wow.
So this will be the 6th annual.
Have you seen it progressively get bigger and bigger each year?
Yes, it grows substantially in some way or another each year.
Wow. So when you first started, the first year you did it, what was that like compared to how it is now?
So the first year that I did it, the focus was different. This was before I had become homeless myself. Although I kind of knew God had put it in my heart to like create something and build community in some way. So, and at that point, my daughter, she is 20 years old now, and she was a part of I can't remember the exact words right now, but they have a youth choir at MSU, and she was a part of that, and it's not cheap, and that was kind of like the spiral where my life fell apart and went out of control and ended up with me being homeless, like had already started. So it was like, I don't have funds personally to pay for her to do this, but she's objectively, it's not mom talk. She's a really talented singer. So
Wow.
I wanted for her to continue to be a part of it. So we just kind of threw a fundraiser together, and she is the one that brought that song into my life, Wake Me Up When September Ends. That was one of her favorite songs to perform for a few years. So we heard that a lot. She sang it a lot, and it was just like fitting for the time frame. And it's like, well, we'll just call it When September Ends and have it in a month. And it was something we threw together in a month.
Wow.
And it raised the money that she needed. It was more of like a family and friends sort of thing at that point. So, but I had friends that are performers and dancers, and she had a couple friends that came and performed, and we sold food and that sort of thing. So
Wow.
that was the first one.
Did we talk about that on the last episode? I don't remember that.
I don't think we did. No,
Yeah,
I don't
no.
get an opportunity to talk about that a whole lot. So
Yeah, that's
that's
really
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
Did you host that at the Fledge?
That was at a union hall. My mom
Okay.
worked for GM. She worked for GM for the parts warehouse.
Okay.
I don't know what that building is now, but it's on Mount Hope.
Yeah.
By railroad tracks.
Yep.
And so her union is like kitty corner on St. Joe. And she was the financial secretary for that union for, I would say, like 21 or 22 years. So it was a facility that was really easy for me to access. And we had this event there for 3 years, and it moved to the Fledge in 2020.
Wow. That is cool. That is really cool. So what, is your daughter still singing?
She does sing, yes.
Yeah. She sing for MSU?
She is, so I'm just going to be totally honest. I'm not my daughter's favorite person. We haven't talked in like over a year. So,
okay.
I don't know exactly what she does. That's where she wants me at in her life. And I'm doing my best to respect that and not stalk her or anything like that. So,
well, that's awesome.
Yep.
Sorry to bring that up.
It's okay. It's, there's other people dealing with similar situations out there. So, if I can let them know that they're not alone. I did make some mistakes in parenting her. And so, we just kind of deal with life as it comes. And hopefully I pray that she wants to talk to me again someday. But, I'm just doing my best to keep it moving. And
yeah. I mean, that's all you can do is keep moving. And, I've obviously my kids are young. I haven't experienced that, but I have experienced being the child, not wanting to have anything to do with a parent. And so like when I moved out, I was like, I don't want anything to do with them anymore. But, as time went on, it didn't take me long. It only took me like a couple months to come back around and, like kind of start like interacting again and having conversations. But even then, like I didn't really want to have much of a relationship. This episode is brought to you by Red Bike Delivery. This delivery service operates only using battery-powered, eco-friendly transportation. Red Bike Delivery is there for all your delivery needs, whether it's dinner for the family, flowers for your partner, or new houseplants for your new collection. Red Bike Delivery will gladly deliver those and everything in between. So what are you waiting for? Check out Red Bike Delivery on Facebook or Instagram for more information. Red Bike Delivery, because there's only one Earth. Until my adopted dad got me hired into GM, him and I didn't really have a relationship until like I started working there, and then I kind of had to talk to him, and it was one of the most like formative times for me as like a young adult and trying to overcome all the things that I had been through my past. Because him and I were on third shift together, so we would sit in the truck before we worked. He worked in a completely different building as me. But, we would sit there and just talk back and forth and, talk about the things that we had gone through. And, he overly apologized for everything that happened. And, which apologies don't necessarily mean anything, but it's the actions that do. And I could see that, he had wanted, or he was truly sorry. Whereas like on the other hand, my adopted mom, she was not. She's a crazy bat. But yeah, so, over time, him and I ended up developing a relationship, and now we have a really good relationship. Like,
that's awesome.
Even just recently, he, and it might have been because I talked about it on a podcast, but I had mentioned on a podcast that when at the night I moved out, he was up and he had just gotten home from work. He was on second shift, and I went downstairs, grabbed like a basket of clothing and stuff, and I was leaving, and he was like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm moving out." He's like, "Well, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out." And I was like, "Okay, I don't remember what I said to him." But then I left. But that was like something that like got stuck in my brain. And just recently, I think he heard it on a podcast, and he apologized for it. And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
"No, you didn't have to apologize for that. Like I'm over that."
Right.
It was just one of those things that stuck in my head, and it's part of my story. So, yeah.
I didn't say that to my daughter, but I think probably for her the last straw was when we became homeless, she stayed with my mom then, and that she was flourishing there. They had the school that she was going to. They had a strong music program and strong theater program, and she was doing pretty well there. So she stayed there. And then when the pandemic started, she came and stayed with me. That was going pretty well for a couple months, but then it was deteriorating, and it wasn't going to end well. And I mentioned to her, I had already gone through the city rescue mission. I had friends on staff there. I've raised money for them, and I let her know that I think it's time that you go stay with them, and they will help you figure out the next steps, because she didn't want to stay with me. I also didn't really have the capacity to be the one to help her figure out her next steps,
Right.
due to my own issues that I was dealing with. And she took that as me like throwing her out. And
Yeah.
that's not really where I was going. Like I wanted, I know these people, they helped me,
Yeah.
and they're my friends, and I've raised money for them. So I
Yeah.
know that they will help you as well. And I just know that after that, like she had to come back and get her stuff and that sort of thing. And she was talking about being a homeless teenager. And it's like, well, that really wasn't.
How old was she?
She was 18.
Okay.
Yep. So
There's something that, like, for me, I guess I kind of experienced it because I wanted to be on my own at a very young age. I think mainly too because a lot of the stuff I had gone through at home, I didn't want to be a part of it anymore, and I felt like I just needed to figure life out for myself. But I feel that that's important for a lot of young people, like between the ages of, like, I'd say 17 to 20. It's extremely important to get out on your own and figure out who you are as a person and what you want in life, because otherwise, like, you're essentially living off your parents. That's not
Right.
cool. But then you're starting to bat heads, like the parents have rules and the teenagers don't want to follow the rules, and they just kind of want to be their own person. And so I think it's important for every young person to go out and experience life for themselves and figure out who they are. Because, like, being on your own, me being on my own helped me, like, mature in certain aspects way quicker than, like, a lot of my peers. It's kind of interesting to see, because I remember when I started working at GM, people are like, you're so mature, like, for your age. And I'm like, interesting.
I would
I
bet
didn't
that
see
my
it.
daughter gets that a lot. And just
Yeah.
like through the grapevine, the things that I hear, like, she is doing well. She's had a couple jobs and then moved up in the jobs and then
Wow.
gotten a better job, and she's living on her own. And she is doing, I don't know where, but I know that she's doing college and
Wow.
being a part of, like, community theater and that sort of thing. So
That's cool. That's
yeah.
cool. At least she's succeeding in life. I
Yep.
mean, because I think that's every parent's fear, is that their kids just want to not want, but, like, their kids will become a failure in a sense. And it's awesome that she's taken the initiative to get a job, move up, and have her own place and go to college. That's awesome.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Now let's talk about this event.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So when September ends, it's at the end of September.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be easy to remember when it is, because it's when September ends.
So did you pick a family already for it?
We have not picked a family. We will
Okay.
be connecting with a family in July. It's
Okay.
usually kind of a good time frame. We want them to be in their housing already. It's just kind of hard. Like, when I started doing this as not a private thing for my daughter, but for the city rescue mission, we started with just inviting everyone from the city rescue mission and providing them transportation and gift certificates and that sort of thing, and collecting donations for them. And then the pandemic happened, and that was the year that we were trying to keep the numbers in person low. So we had the idea of, like, let's just connect with one family. And it actually ended up working out much better, and just kind of actually giving me more of an opportunity to clarify, like, exactly what the organization is going to do. And so now we focus on someone that's overcome homelessness and help them get settled in their house. And yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, because you're celebrating it.
Yes.
You're not, like, necessarily focusing on their downfalls, like, oh, you were homeless. You're like, yeah, congrats. Like, you were able to get over that hump.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's important because I don't know, like, I think it's important to kind of, like, put focus on that, because when somebody's in that situation, like, they might feel like, okay, I'm not doing good enough. But if other people can recognize, hey, like, you were here and now you're here, like,
Yep.
you could fall back to that, or you can continue to make your life better. And I've personally seen it with you.
Right.
You didn't have a car last year. Now you do.
Right.
That's awesome. You know, it's always awesome with anything to see progression.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff. Yes.
So how many vendors are going to be there this year?
Probably as many as sign up. There's the whole inside and the outside.
Okay.
I think we're going to cap it at 40.
Wow.
And right now I have 0 signed up. So
Really?
I think that there's people that have said they're going to do it. They just haven't signed up.
I'm going to
yet,
do it.
So, okay. Cool. You're a sponsor. You should do it.
Yeah, I should definitely do it.
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you think, like, because we had mentioned something about doing live interviews.
Yeah.
And this is something I've kind of thought about as like the whole throughout the whole year. I'm like, how would I do that?
How would we do that?
How would we do that?
Yeah.
Well,
I think like we'll already have the live stream going. So if you want to have another live stream, I don't know how you would want to do that. Or you could get the raw footage from that and do it, or you could use your own equipment. I'm gonna let you guys handle that part because that is not my expertise. You could bring your own microphones, or we could have ours. It could be standing or sitting, because we have the wired mics and stuff. So, yeah.
So to do live interviews, let's say it's live. Let's say I'm interviewing live. It's streaming live. Would I just randomly interview people?
I was thinking more along the lines of highlighting briefly someone's. So, this is what I'm picturing is like as part of the performance lineup, you have like maybe 15 to 20 minutes to do an interview, and then somebody could kind of see your podcast in action. And then if you wanted to do like more at your table, that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So, but I'm definitely like
cool.
thinking it would be a good idea to highlight it, when we have the performance lineup set up, and then like people are paying attention to it and stuff. And then if there's if you know of someone, if we could highlight a story of homelessness, that would be awesome. It doesn't have to be that though, but it would be cool.
I think that would be important because the whole event's about being homeless and overcoming that. Mm-hmm. So, I was homeless at one point, so that's kind of cool. It's kind of full circle right there. A previous homeless person interviewing somebody else who overcame it. Yeah, that's interesting. So many good ideas.
Yes.
So many good ideas.
There's so many good ideas out there. It's a common theme lately.
Yeah.
I was talking with someone the other day. They're like, I'm a great brainstormer. I'm like, okay, we don't need any more brainstormers. We need people that will help us execute the brainstorms that we already have. So
that's the problem. I'm good at brainstorming too. I'm like, I have a really good idea. This is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, how am I going to do that?
Right.
It always sounds good on paper.
And it probably is good, but the execution is typically quite challenging.
Yeah, because there's always a process.
Ideas. Yes.
There's a process to everything. And it's like, where do I start? What's the first steps I need to take in order to make this happen? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I could imagine that having an event like yours, it's probably like that too, because it's like, how do we make this big event happen? Last year was pretty crazy, and this was like you had a lot of people there. You had the live stream going. You had people telling their stories and all kinds of stuff, performances. It was wild.
Yeah, the event is like
it was windy.
It was windy, and it was freezing. I remember like at night because we stayed there till like 10 o'clock. It was cold, but the event, I feel like we have a pretty good handle on, there's like a process kind of and a rhythm. The other things that are going on with the organization is just like, wow, I don't know how I'm supposed to do any of this. So
tell me about the organization. Because I know last time you were on, you talked about how you were working on becoming a nonprofit, right? A 501c3.
Yes.
Did that happen?
That did happen.
It did happen. How long after the podcast did that happen?
So we became incorporated as a Michigan nonprofit in July, and then got our 501c3 status from the federal government in March of this year.
Whoa.
So yes, the pressure's on to make things happen and do the fundraising and that sort of thing.
So what's next? I mean, now that you got that, obviously you said fundraising and all that jazz, but how do you go about all that?
We are working with, well, we haven't signed the contract yet, but that I anticipate will be happening soon with Kimberly Levon of Mint Maven. She is a grant writer. And so grants are overwhelming. I looked into them. I'm a fairly effective writer. I feel like I've written for a couple of them and gotten them. So that part's not too hard for me, but the finding them, oh my gosh. It's like so complicated to find grants.
Are they like specific to like your organization or those type of organizations?
They would be specific, but to find the ones that are specific that we would qualify for is like such a job itself when I've never done it before. And I've looked at a couple grant databases. I looked at one at MSU and at the reference desk. I went there with a friend one day, and what it shows is all the grants from last year and the foundations. So you can go to the foundation's website and see what grants are currently open.
Okay.
So you're still not even looking for grants. You're looking at foundations that offered grants. So now you can go to their website and see if they have any grants and if your organization is qualified for it.
Why did they make it so difficult?
I don't know.
Why isn't there somebody that you can talk to, be like, hey, this is what you need, apply for it?
Right. There are those people. You just, like Kimberly, we just need to pay her a lot of money.
Really?
So, and it would definitely be worth it, what we pay her. So.
Wow.
Yep. And there's even like grant databases. I've looked in, to be honest, I also really don't have the capacity anymore to just like dive into things and learn them. I will learn, like if I'm with someone and we're working on something together, like after I go through the process with Kimberly, I know I'll be a lot more oriented to how it works.
Kimberly?
Kimberly Levon of Mint Maven.
Oh, okay,
She's the grant writer. So
that's right.
Once we go through the process, like I'll have to be since it's my organization and I have all the verbiage and everything. Excuse me, and it's like based on, inspired a lot by my story. We'll have to talk a lot about things. But so through that process, I know I'll be like more oriented to, this is where you can find the grants. This is what you need to have. Like you have to have your budget ready. You have to have like so much paperwork all in a row to apply for it. Like what other grants have you applied for? What did you do with that money?
Wow.
And it's a lot. So, but once we go through it with her, then I feel like I will be more ready to do it in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll still pay her. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work on top of so we have a board and it's a volunteer board. So, I can't really expect them to go as hard as I do.
Yeah.
So like right now I would say doing 95% of the fundraising, marketing and promotion, doing the event, and then actually executing the mission by helping people, all for the great salary of $0. So
yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize, when they hear like this interview or previous interviews or whatever, that like it takes a lot of work for no money. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's like that with a lot of different like things that go on here in our community.
Yep.
It's crazy. Hopefully,
yes. Hopefully someday there will be a salary. Like if things go well and the vision is fully fleshed out, then, I'll get paid at that point to do some work.
Yeah.
That would be good. It's not like why I'm doing it.
No.
But still at some point.
I think if you were doing it for money, you would have given up a long time ago.
That is for sure. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild. That's a lot of work.
It really is.
How many people do you have on your board?
We have 3 people on our board right now.
Okay. Wow. Insane. Now, where do you see the nonprofit going within the next year? I mean, obviously you got to apply for these grants and stuff.
Yes.
Do you see yourself having like a building or some sort of like home base?
The goal for the year is not necessarily a home base for our organization, although that could come in the future. That's not a huge priority. The priority is to get at least one home by the end of the year
Oh,
to basically end homelessness for a household. And so, like our mission, Jubilee is a network that connects disadvantaged community members in the greater Lansing area with transformative wait, okay. I wrote it. I should know it. With effective support and transformative opportunities. So, and the way that we're doing that is by we're building a permanent supportive housing program, and permanent supportive housing is a model for dealing with homelessness. It's kind of like housing first, and we'll deal with everything else next. So, and we don't have any of that. Well, it's not accurate to say we don't have any. I don't know exactly what the numbers are. Like when I was at the City Rescue Mission, I qualified for permanent supportive housing. I would still qualify for permanent supportive housing, but there's none available for me. There's no wait list to get on or anything like that. Sometimes people with really intense psychiatric issues and that are already CMH consumers, they might get some permanent supportive housing. But not guaranteed. Or so I'm just guessing this.
so where do these people go?
A lot of the time back to the street. It's why we have like a revolving door at our homeless shelters, and then some of the people that have really severe issues or complications or whatever will just end up on the street and not even bother to go into the shelters anymore.
Wow. That's crazy. Because like if you have to go into if you go into a shelter, you have to clean up, right?
You do.
Yeah.
Yep. There's rules to follow. It's not always. I've seen some, even since I left the shelters, I've seen some changes that I like in some of the shelters to where it's not quite so strict. Or but it's when I was there and even before that, it's not easy to be there. It's a lot of structure.
Yeah.
And
I'm
a lot
sure.
of rules, and I can kind of understand the need for that, but also like we're humans, so it's also a need to address someone's humanity and what they need that's different than fitting in your cookie cutter,
right?
And
yeah, I mean, if you're going into a homeless shelter, you're literally, well, for one, you're there for a reason, right? Like, I mean, you've hit rock bottom, and you have problems, I'm sure, and it'll be so much easier to like want to use drugs and become an alcoholic because I mean, where's life going?
Right.
Like you literally, it probably feels like you have no potential whatsoever. I was going to ask you, how bad has the homeless problem gotten in Lansing since like the last time we talked, and I guess like since the pandemic? Because I know there for a little bit, like I seen like homeless encampments under like a bridge, and that's now since been cleaned up, but it just seems like there had been like different places all around town where homeless people were
cleaned up,
congregating.
but I'm certain that they've just moved. I would say that I mean, I'm not the authority on that part of it, but I would say it hasn't changed much. I don't think it's really gotten much worse, or definitely it hasn't gotten any better.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned when you go in the homeless shelter, it's like they want you to perform. I was just going to mention that's one of the things that kind of like sets Jubilee apart is like there are all kinds of transitional housing and sorts of things. Like there's pregnancy houses, there's sober houses, there's parole houses. The problem with all of them is that there's a time limit, and that puts on pressure to perform and not like really an opportunity to address what's going on deep inside. And, because to address what's deep inside takes time and space, and we're not in control of like that. What is rehab for 3 months? Now I'm really ready to go and function in society with all the pressures of society.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no.
That's not it. So
no, you almost need like guidance for like years.
Yes.
I mean, even if you don't need like the extreme like counseling or whatever it is, structured program, you need somebody there to be like, hey, how's it going?
Yep.
Like you staying above board?
Yep.
Okay, good to hear. Keep it up.
Yep.
Keep up the good work.
And
that's kind of goes back to like your event. Like,
yes.
you're recognizing somebody who had these issues, and you're like, congratulations, you know, they now have an event about them. And then, so, you know, as time goes on through the winter or whatever, they can look back and be like, wow, I can't disappoint because they just celebrated me. It gives them reason to keep going.
Yep. And ideally, I have stayed in touch with the family that we celebrated. I actually just helped them out with some stuff a couple days ago. So,
wow.
Ideally, as our organization grows, we'll have more support to offer them, and that's kind of the goal. Is to not people do need help for years, and the reason the way somebody's going to let you help them really in an effective manner is because you've put the effort in and built trust.
Yeah.
And that is no easy job, and it's not something that we typically get paid for in our society, but that's part of the effective support that we're offering.
Yeah.
Is highly relational and, building trust, which means we're not going to let you down. We're not going to overpromise. We're going to follow through with what we say we're going to do. We're not going to ignore you for 6 weeks. So
what you're describing to me sounds like this huge organization. Sounds like to me, you have this huge dream of having several different, I guess, housing units and a bunch of staff members. And you're able to just kind of help everybody who comes to you. Mm-hmm. Am I correct?
Well,
are you kind of envisioning that?
That would be beautiful, but I think by the end of this year, it will be nice to have one unit, one household.
Okay.
We do have the network in place that we could support one household very well, and if we can make that happen by the end of the year, then hopefully our board can grow. We have, I think, 13 open board positions on our board.
Whoa.
Yeah. So we do want people with skills and dedication and commitment to join the board. So it's not just please anybody. Come join our board. So we don't have vacancies.
Right.
So we're trying to before we seek more board members, we're trying to make something significant and substantial to attract board members.
What kind of qualifications?
Skills.
What kind of qualifications are you looking for?
To me, the most important things are supporting the mission and dedication and commitment. I don't want anyone to be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But it's also very important to me that people are involved in networking and reaching out and so our network can grow. That's the most effective way to grow anything, is just from one person to the next. Hey, I mean, with Jubilee, there is basically a way for almost anyone to fit in as a vendor, a sponsor. We're going to need contractors to help us maintain our homes. We're going to need lawyers and professional financial people, whatever they're called. That's not my area of expertise, to help them, resolve legal issues that they might have, or become financially literate and that sort of thing. So, it's really important that the board members are committed to doing that and just utilizing their network effectively to grow Jubilee's network. And just understanding what they're able to commit to, and then doing it well, excellently.
Yeah, and that's important whenever somebody's involved with anything, any board or any what do you call it? I don't want to say I'm trying to think of the proper term, but when you're a part of something, it doesn't matter what it is. You should fully devote yourself to it, or at least devote whenever you're there and you're working on that, devote all your time and effort to it, or and you stay focused on it.
Yeah, at least because I was part of an event last night that I'm helping with, and I think the events are great. They're called Veteran Story events. I don't know if you've heard of those.
No, I haven't.
But they're great. I'm going to send you some more information about them. They're important to celebrate and honor veterans and that sort of thing. And I'm helping with the tech stuff.
Okay.
And some friends of mine are doing that also. And they're we need help. And I thought I was signing up for one, but they're no, there's 15 or 20 for the rest of the year.
Whoa.
And I think it's important, and I want to, but I'm spread so thin that I am not showing up.
Yeah.
the best Erica that I can be.
Yeah.
However, I've let them know, like, this is a great vision, and I'm really glad that I can be a part of it, but I already have a vision that I'm working on.
Yeah.
So I will come and help to the best of my ability. By the time I get there on Friday night, my ability's not going to be that great, and I'm sorry. So I think it's
sometimes
also
it's just better. Sometimes it's better to have somebody there who,
yes.
just like, I mean, because I know when you're there, you're going to try your hardest.
I do try my hardest, even though
you might be tired. It's the end of the week. Everybody's exhausted. But I know you're going to work hard when you're there. So,
Yep.
like, that matters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. The point of that was, like, I let them know, like, you're getting the last Erica, that there's a little bit left. And because I do see this as important. And
Yeah. So what is that? They tell their stories?
They do tell their stories. They
go on stage in front of people?
I'm trying to remember what the theme was last night. I don't remember. It had something to, it was Little Arlington. We have a Little Arlington cemetery in, Arlington Cemetery is? Okay,
yeah.
so they have like a Little Arlington in Lansing. Are
Really?
you familiar with that?
No.
I believe it's so we're by my house, so we're close to the cemetery.
Yeah.
At Mount Hope and Aurelius. There's soldiers buried there in Little Arlington. So they were talking about that. There was another one where the Gold Star families were sharing their stories, and I don't know exactly what Gold Star families means, but I do know that they had all lost children or family members in service. Wow. So it was really great. That one was really awesome because we had like a food reception for them, and we got to interact with them, and I still have a card in my wallet. The man was super excited to hand me this card. He's like, I've passed out, like, I can't remember the number that he said, but it was a lot, like thousands and thousands of these cards. And so,
what?
They just have like his son's name and his branch and just like part of his story and like what was important to him. And to the family, like, that's an important way because they lost their family member, which is tragic. But it's been an important way for them to keep the legacy alive and share the story and impact others, even though they don't have their son anymore. So
who runs this? Is it a nonprofit?
The story in general, the stories is powered by Cityhood, which is Michelle Ramon. She's kind of like the person in charge at Cityhood, which is an aggregate news thingamajig. I don't know exactly what it is, but she does do news reports, and she's doing these stories. And there's also like there's a group of people. iStar Video Production is part of it, and the Mayor's Veterans Commission. I don't know if I'm saying the words right, but so Elfrida Schmidt, she's like, oh my gosh, she's like this. I think she's 92, but she might be older than that. The Hill Center on the south side is named after her. It's the Schmidt Community Center. Wow. And the first time I met her, even at 92, like she's like grabbing your hand and talking to you and be like, what's your name? We're so glad you're here. And it's like, okay, I see why you have a community center named after you. I get it.
Wow.
So
what's her story?
Gosh, I wish I knew better. I know that her son was in the military, some branch. She's been around Lansing a lot. I think she might have been involved with the military herself as well, although I'm not sure in what capacity. But I do know that she is like part of that Mayor's Veteran Commission or Coalition or whatever it is. Oh, okay. So she's obviously someone very influential in our city, and maybe I should know better.
That is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is pretty cool.
Do you think she can make it downstairs?
I wouldn't put it past her, actually. I really wouldn't put it past her.
It'd be cool to interview somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, I'd be interested in finding more out about that.
Yeah, I can connect you with Michelle. She might want to come. She could make it down the stairs for sure.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be interesting. Yeah, it's crazy because I'm still like learning a bunch of things about like different events and groups and organizations here in Lansing.
There's a lot.
There's so many. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because Lansing doesn't seem that big. Mm-hmm. Like, it's small. Like, I mean, I was just in Indianapolis like a couple weeks ago, and Indianapolis is huge. There's so much, but like you come to Lansing, you're like, wow, this is small. Like
Right.
you could drive through Lansing in 2 minutes.
Right.
Like if you're on the highway,
Right.
you can get through in like 5 minutes. You're through the other side, and it's crazy because there's so much in between the city lines. It's wild.
There's a lot of people. So
Yeah,
and
there is a lot of people.
The area is kind of small, but
How many people do you think are in Lansing?
oh, I used to know the answer to that, but that was a long time ago.
Let's fact check that.
You can do that. I think it's around like 140,000.
Okay, I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna say 137.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So you said 140. I said 137.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going with Greater Lansing or the city of Lansing? Probably Greater
Lansing is even more than that.
Is
if
it?
You're going to include Okemos, because
True.
Greater Lansing would be Okemos, Holt, probably even Mason, Grand Ledge.
DeWitt, St. John's,
Yes.
right? St. John's.
St. John's is iffy, but
Yeah.
it could in some people's definition.
City of Lansing
Mm-hmm.
population. Wow. We were both wrong. It's 117,488 as of 2020.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We're not too wrong.
No.
We would have to turn the cameras off and hang up the phone if we said 1 million and it was 117,000. So
Yeah.
we
We'd
weren't
be
too far off.
hugely disconnected.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is a lot of people.
Yeah. Even 117,000 is like that's
That's
still
a
a lot of people.
crap ton of people. Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yep.
And it's crazy too, because like going on like the 517 page, with all these different like events going on, it's like it almost seems like is Lansing really that big? You know, like I wonder that all the time. Like, is there really? Because it always seems like it's kind of the same people like posting or like same people doing the same kind of events. It's like, is Lansing really that big? But then like, it's so much bigger. I mean, there's just so many people.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is like kind of a small percent that's into that sort of thing. Organizing events, it's not a lot. I mean, there are a lot of people organizing events, but when you look at the big picture, it's not a lot.
No, it's not.
And then
why do you think that is? Do you think it's because like, well, for one, the whole like the 517 page is kind of newer, like relatively, and it's growing, and like maybe like people, I don't know, why do you think that is? Why do you think that people don't really get involved with too much?
well, I can see why they don't get involved with organizing. That's a lot of work. I don't know why they don't come more often. Because if you go to our community events, you're going to see a lot of the same people over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And not a lot of new people, considering that we have now 117,000 people since we know the number.
Yeah.
I do wish there was a way to figure out how to get more people involved in community events, because I think it's a very rewarding experience.
Yeah.
Even I used to think when I would go to an event where there was vendors, I would feel bad that I didn't buy something. But I have friends now that are vendors, and they're like, it's not like that.
Yeah.
You know, of course we do want to make money, but it's a good experience to connect with someone.
Yeah.
And
Get your name out there.
You can get your name out there, and even just the connection. Like, well, at this point in time, you know, having someone give me their name could benefit them, because even outside of when September ends, I do help with like vendor coordination at other events and that sort of thing. But even before that, like you're getting your name out to broke Erica that's not going to help you with anything or ever buy your stuff. Like, I'll just be your friend. But like they say that's even a worthwhile experience.
It is.
So
it is.
It's good. And you know, so you don't have to be afraid of not buying. A lot of these people are artists, and they put their heart and soul into what they're doing.
Yeah.
And even if you're not going to buy, they just like talking about it and sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and the performers like love having an audience. So I do wish there was a way to get more people to enjoy the community events that we have, because a lot of them are pretty great.
Yeah.
And there's so much talent in Lansing.
There's a lot of talent in Lansing. I've interviewed a lot of like artists, local artists and stuff. And it's like, wow, this is crazy. Like, it's crazy that people are here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of like musicians too
Yep.
that are here. I don't really know a lot of them, but yeah, there's a lot of talent locally.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how you could get more people involved. I really don't. Other than like promotion.
Yeah. Sometimes people don't know what's going on.
I
So
know.
I tell people, like, if you ever want to know what's going on, I usually know. So just, I can tell you.
Yeah.
A lot of it, some of it will make the news a little bit, but it's usually like after the fact. It's hard to get the word out to the whole city if you don't have access to like Fox 47 or something like that. So it's a lot of work to get people to even know about it, and to get them to care about it. It's even more work.
Have you done any promotion for your event?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on the podcast.
All right. It's kind of like I could be doing a better job. I have like over 1,000 flyers, and I feel like I should be knocking on doors, but I probably will. Yes. It's I write the newsletter for an organization in Lansing called Coggle. And so it's definitely been promoted. Actually, it hasn't been in their newsletter. I need to do that. But they put out an annual publication, so our event was included in that publication last November. So it's been promoted since then. And whoever's looking at that publication, and this is what I'm getting now since I've been doing it for 6 years. I was talking to someone the other day that I met a couple months ago, and I mentioned that, well, she had already had the flyer for it, and she's like, yeah, and I heard about that before, and I'm getting that, a few times lately, is that people have heard about it in the past and don't really know what it is, and so then I get to tell them, and so yes, I'm promoting. I feel like I wish I could do a better job. I wish I knew how to do a better job.
It's very difficult, because that's something I've had to learn too with the podcast, is like, how do I promote, like, what's the best avenue to go down for like viewers? And it's something I'm still learning, but people's attention span is so like spread thin. Like they might see, your event, they might see it, today or whenever this releases, and then they'll forget about it by the time it's not like they're going to write it on their calendar.
No,
I'm going to remember that event. So it's like you constantly have to be hammering them with it. And it's like, it's a full-time job.
It is.
Marketing's a full-time job. It's not easy. What I was going to suggest to you, and I don't know how you feel about it, but if you wanted to create some sort of like ad for this podcast to like air before each episode.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd be willing to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But you have to record it.
Oh, yeah.
It can't be me. People don't want to hear me talk. So
okay. We can figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll figure that out and get that recorded, because I think that'd be important. Because every episode that comes out, I oftentimes interview, like a lot of local people. People will be like, what is that? What's he talking? Or what's that? Who's that lady talking?
Right.
So, and then, I can incorporate maybe links to the event.
That would be amazing, actually. Thank you, David.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, that would be great for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've helped me out in the past. You let me come to the event last year, and then you sent the news my way.
I did.
Yeah.
I was like, you need to talk to David, Kiana.
It completely caught me off guard, too. I'm like, I don't really know what to say. It's so weird being interviewed on the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
like,
was.
Like I can sit here and talk because I feel comfortable, but like being in front of a camera that that people are going to see on TV, it's like, ooh, I don't know, it's different.
It is.
Yeah.
Which angles are they going to take? What are they going to cut out?
Yeah.
Make sure everything I say is even by itself something that I want people to hear, because
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little scary. Yeah, but you did good when they interviewed you.
Too.
I don't think so. I
Oh,
don't think so.
great.
Yeah. So, so what performers do you have this year? You have obviously Sway Boy.
Yes, we have Sway Boy. He's on there.
Yeah, he's on there.
Yep.
Do you have any other performers?
Yes, there's a list of them, but I don't have it in front of me. There's a few people that I'm waiting to hear back from them anxiously. Have you seen Ron St. Germain?
No.
No, he's a high energy, it's rock and roll. I'm going to send you a video later. I need to be keeping a list of all the things I'm going to send you later. But he's considering currently, so I would be kind of excited if he comes. I'm sorry, performers, anybody that listens to this.
They should be understanding.
I hope so.
You're doing 95% of the work.
I really am.
Yeah.
Like, I helped homeless people get furniture last week.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
I hope there's a list. Who's on the list? There's a lot of people on that list.
You know, I would assume that getting or helping people acquire these homes and acquire furniture and belongings has got to be one of the greatest feelings ever.
It does feel good. It's like I'm working on it. I'm doing better than I was, but I still have a lot of work to do when it comes to manage my emotions. So I'm not enjoying it as much as I wish I would. I'm feeling overwhelmed, and like, if there's like, so the families that I was in contact with last week, everything is planned and situated and should work out for them. But before that happened, I'm like, oh my gosh, who am I going to get to help me move this stuff? It's not really in our budget to pay for a U-Haul. I'm going to have to ask such and such to use their van. I don't want to ask them for anything else right now. So maybe we will just pay for a U-Haul, but then I have to go to my board and get it approved. And like my board's great about, like, they must really trust me and support what I'm doing because they've never said, no, Erica, we're not doing that. So I do anticipate that coming at some point when there's a bigger board. Maybe it won't be quite so like whatever you want to do. Yeah. But that's okay. We'll cross. See, why am I even worried about that?
Yeah, you shouldn't be worried about that.
No, I should just be like really happy that, things are fairly well planned out for the situations that we had, and those people are getting some great things.
Well, I think that's why it's important too to get people that believe in this. They have the same passion that you have for the organization, because the minute you get people saying no, don't do that, or don't do that, don't help buy them furniture, don't help them move the furniture, whatever. It's like, are we on the same team?
Right.
What's going on here?
Right.
Yeah.
What are we hoarding that money for if it wasn't to execute our mission?
Yeah.
So, yep. I just feel like I have to shout out Audra from Junk in the Trunk. Have you met Audra yet?
I have not.
Okay. She should come on your podcast too.
Send her my way.
I will. She has been instrumental in connecting us because she does like estate cleanouts. So she gets a lot of great stuff.
Wow.
And
for free.
Yeah.
The people are just throwing away.
She's getting paid to take it away. Whatever she does with it next is on her. And she does give a lot of it to different organizations. So, yes. And Jubilee is now one of her partners. So
that's what I was going to ask you is, have you thought about partnering with other organizations? But clearly you have.
Yes, I have. And we do that. And are not fully implementing our strategy in our program yet, because that will come more when we have like someone in a home, and with them being in our home, we'll have like more leverage to actually build a relationship with them and get trust and like bring in more partners. But we've contacted with a lot of different organizations, and now that I have a car, hopefully we'll be meeting with more and just seeing how we can work together, how we can support their mission and how they can support ours to just make a greater impact on the community. So,
do you know, have you heard of Sleep in Heavenly Peace, that organization? Yes. Jared Olson, I think his name is. Yeah.
You and I talked about that before too.
Yeah. Yep. Did we?
Yep.
I don't remember. I've only had like 100 other conversations. Well,
I know, right?
70 other maybe, but.
Yep. Because I think, Yes, actually, I remember that was the first time I heard of your podcast is because I wrote a blog article about Jared and
Oh,
I linked to your podcast in there. So,
oh, cool.
hmm
Awesome. That's really cool.
hmm
I should get him back. But Jared, for the people who don't know, Jared, his organization, Sleep in Heavenly Peace, he's the chapter president. They make beds for children who don't have beds here in Lansing. And one thing he was telling me is that um, you wouldn't think that there would be a huge need for it here in Lansing. Like he kind of had the idea that he would be working in Lansing, but then he would have to branch out.
hmm
But he said it's like continuous work to try to meet the needs for the kids here in town. And he said it's wild, it's crazy that he can't keep up.
hmm
I would think that like if you could partner with somebody like him for like the children, because I'm sure that a lot of the people you work with have children.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. We have actually worked on some things together. So,
cool. That is
yes.
so cool.
And that's a reminder. I actually need to fill out one of those referral forms. So, yep.
Always something. There's always something.
Yes.
Yeah.
hmm
Wow. So we're 55 minutes in. This went by super quick.
It did go by quick.
Yeah. I feel comfortable talking to you though. It's not like I'm trying to get into like I'm not trying to get to know you now. It's like we're just chatting about whatever.
Mhm.
Is there anything else you want to promote or talk about before we wrap this up?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked, and I'm even gladder. That's not a word that I remember.
Happier?
Yes, happier that I remembered. There are like a few different other events that I'm helping with right now. Currently, one is the veteran stories that I
Wrong tube.
oh, I hate it when that happens. So those veteran stories are at the Hill Center. You can find those at Cityhood. I know Cityhood's on Facebook. They probably have, they do have a website actually, and also at the Lansing Parks and Recreation. Those are really good. I'm not even for our government, but the individuals that served and sacrificed their lives, a lot of them, to get our freedom, like that I am for, like supporting the
Yeah.
individual people and hearing their stories and I'm probably kind of like anti-government overall, but it's been a great opportunity for me to recognize that those are humans and that they have stories and that they're important and that honoring them and celebrating them and caring for them is actually really important. So,
Yeah.
I'm actually hoping to incorporate a veteran story for when September ends. Also, I've talked to Michelle about it once and she seemed in favor of it, but we have to iron out the details and homelessness amongst veterans is a major issue. It's not like we would be happy to help veterans through Jubilee, but it's not like our major focus.
Yeah.
We're just trying to do our best to help everyone that comes our way. Not everyone, but whoever does come our way, we want to be prepared with a network to put a community and support around them, whether they are dealing with substance abuse or they're a veteran, but whatever it is. But anyways, back to that. Like, I'm hoping that she will maybe interview a veteran and perhaps a veteran that's overcome homelessness in Lansing as part of when September ends. So,
Well, I think it's cool too to highlight the different demographics of people in the homeless community because I mean some of them are veterans and a lot of them
yes.
have suffered from like PTSD
Yep.
or a lot of other traumatic experiences from being in the military, which causes them
Yep.
to be homeless. And to kind of ignore that and just maybe focus on somebody who just has been down on their luck is, I think it's important
Yeah.
to highlight those stories.
Yeah. I think it's like very important actually because, they did go to serve our country and serve us. That's what they were doing when they
Yeah.
made that choice.
Yeah.
And our country owes it to them to look after them after they did that. So,
Well, and I think that's a whole nother discussion, but I think that the military doesn't do a good job.
no.
I don't think that
No.
they necessarily care. In fact, I actually was just interviewing a guy who's a veteran, and he said they will proactively try to say that something happened. Like he was saying, for instance, that at the VA, he came out of the military with a bunch of like PTSD and
Mhm.
other traumatic stuff. Um, and he tried getting help for it through the VA, and they're like, oh yeah, that didn't happen in the military. That happened because you had a rough childhood. That happened before. And it's like, no, I have PTSD from the military. So they like proactively like will deny anything because they don't want to have to pay for it.
That's outrageous.
It's outrageous.
Infuriating.
Yeah. It is.
Ugh, I hate it here.
Yeah, I do too. What do? The only thing you can do is talk about it and highlight stories, and hopefully by doing that, things get better. And I think they are over time. I mean, I think things are progressively starting to get slightly better.
Well, I do know that more regular people like us in the community are having a deeper understanding of the injustices that happen across the board. And I think that is the start of people caring. And, like through the pandemic, so many people endured also, not even just from COVID, but just all sorts of tragic losses that, I think it's really like we all have, a lot of us at this point have a tragic story somewhere in our life. And I don't think it was like that 20 years ago. So
you don't think so?
I don't know.
I think it was.
Okay.
I just think that 20 years ago, people didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
That was one thing that started when I started this podcast, when I did my episode. I had a family member reach out and they're like, what you talked about is not okay. And you shouldn't be talking about that stuff because I was raised that you don't talk about those things and you keep it hush hush and whatever. I'm like, well, that's how things remain the same. By not talking about it, it causes generational trauma, and then it happens. It's a cycle. You break the cycle by talking about it and discussing things. And so I just think that like back then people didn't talk about things because there was a lot of shame around different, like being homeless. Yeah. People weren't like happy to be homeless. People still aren't happy to be homeless. I guarantee you nobody wants to live on the streets.
No.
But there's like a shame that goes around it. Like if you were to say I'm homeless because I have a drug problem, like that's a shameful thing to admit. So you don't talk about it. Right?
Right. Oh, yeah. Like a lot of people. And you're right that is changing. Like people are sharing their stories and saying, I went through this and I overcame it and I'm doing well now. Or maybe I'm still struggling with it, but we do talk about things much more freely. So it's actually something I think about a lot. Like, was my whole perspective on life way off when I was younger? That
probably.
Yeah, it could be. Like, it's just, I don't swear too often, but it's just ended up being a big bag of bullshit. And like, I'm trying to make the best of it, to plant flowers in it or something. Yeah. I don't know, but.
Well, I mean, I think that's what most people are trying to do. And the people who don't do that, they just like to, I don't know, cause trouble. They just can't pay attention to those people.
No, and I think that they are a lot less dissatisfied with their existence here than I am.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know. But you mentioned generational trauma. That reminded me of there's a couple more events. But so Jubilee has once a month, we have a task force meeting. It's Operation End Homelessness task force meetings where you can join our leadership team. So usually our board is there and anyone else from the community is welcome to come. And we just have important conversations about poverty and homelessness and healthy relationships as they pertain to mentoring people and helping people in general. So it doesn't have to be somebody that is necessarily going to be volunteering with our organization. They're still going to get value out of the conversation, because I think just by having community conversations, we can learn a lot from each other.
Yeah.
And that seems to be what happens. And the topic of our next task force meeting is generational trauma. So, Yep, that will be on June 5th.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
First Sunday of every month.
And where's that located at?
That will be at South Church of the Nazarene.
Okay.
At 6 p.m. It's on West Holmes, 401 West Holmes, right by the Everett football field.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And they happen every first Sunday for the rest of forever. So if you can't make it this time, it's okay.
Awesome.
Come next time.
That's cool.
And another thing that I'm working on with a group of ladies, I'm sure you've heard of the women's networking group. Have you heard of that? Not Your Mother's networking group?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I'm going to clue you in. There's like 20,000 women in there.
Whoa.
And
Locally?
yes, this is
Whoa.
all Lansing women, like all kinds of women, actually. There's professional women and musicians. It's like everybody is in there. The only thing that you have to do is be nice and be in Lansing. So somebody was in there talking about a dating app, and my broad spectrum advice is don't do dating apps. I know some people have good luck. Every time I say, don't do dating apps, somebody's like, I met my husband on there. And I'm like, okay, I'm happy for you. My experience, which is valid, or my advice, since this person is asking for advice based on my experience and the experience of those around me, is don't do dating apps. So don't do dating apps. But then a conversation emerged about we don't have speed dating events in Lansing. So myself and 3 other ladies decided that we should have a speed dating event in Lansing. So the first one's happening June 8th.
Whoa.
At American Fifth Spirits, which is on Larch, across from the baseball stadium.
Oh.
So it's called Ditch the App Dating. So if you want to, it is $25 a person. So
How do you sign up? Like if you're a dude or another woman, even.
Yep.
Like do you have to like is there like some sort of sign up sheet or something?
There is. It's on Eventbrite. There's Facebook event, and there's on Eventbrite. So that's where you pay. And there's a LGBTQ event on the 9th and the men and women on the 8th. So if you're a man or a woman that's looking for the opposite, then you'll go to the Eventbrite, and there's men tickets and women tickets.
Oh.
So that's kind of how we're making the distinction.
Interesting. Have you ever done a speed date?
No. It sounds intriguing. I don't know if I want to date anybody. That's an entirely different podcast. We're not going to go into that right now. But I think that I like the idea of
it's where you like shuffle tables, right?
Yes.
Like every couple of minutes or something.
Yep. We're going to do 3 minutes. We're going to do a half hour. So American Fifth Spirits is a distillery. So and I don't drink too often, but I did try
should make a drinking game out of that.
I don't know.
Everybody has to chug a beer every 3 minutes,
right?
And see how it goes by the end.
There's an idea. They have like craft cocktails and mocktails, and I tried the caramel white Russian, and it was delicious. So for the $25, you get a cocktail or a mocktail, and actually the rest of the proceeds go to Jubilee. So.
Oh, very cool.
Yep.
Very cool. So go to that.
Yes. Yes. Even like, how could it not, like 3 minutes is long enough. You're not making any commitment to anyone. It's just that we can conversate with someone for 3 minutes and catch their vibe or whatever.
I don't know if I could have at the beginning of the podcast. Like 3 minutes in, I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be rough.
Right.
But no, that's actually, I think that's interesting because for one, doing the podcast, like talking to people, I realized that an hour is not long enough.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine like sitting across from somebody for 3 minutes and be like, okay, here we go. Let's go. Like, tell me everything. How do you go about that? Do you write down questions? Like,
we
what's
do
the
have
process?
focus questions, so they can use that. I think that we don't have this set up, but it's a new thing. So I think that maybe next time we'll talk about like your time limit is 1.5 minutes and the other person, because personally, like, if I'm not given an open space to talk, I'm not talking over anyone. That's not what I do.
Right.
Well, actually, lately I do some, but
you need to because you're the boss.
yes. Overall, I don't enjoy talking over people, and I'm a much better listener than I am a talker. So I don't know exactly how we're just gonna feel it out. It's just kind of like, here's guideline questions, and it's open 3 minutes, and maybe once we get surveys back and that sort of thing, maybe then we will
adjust,
tweak it a little bit if that's what's needed. But
so what's the end goal / result of a speed dating thing? Do you like get the people's number that you're interested in at the end, or how does that work?
They are welcome to exchange contact information if they want to. I personally don't. When we were talking about it as a group, my vote was like to kind of like prohibit that, but then I also had to check myself, like rules don't work. I already know that. But I think the goal is for them to indicate to us who they're interested in matching with, and then we'll provide the contact information afterwards. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's actually a good move.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good move, because then you don't get somebody contacting somebody they don't want to.
Right. Yeah, no, we don't want that to happen. And like the saying no, I mean, I've encountered that a lot. I've given my number to a lot of people that I really wish I hadn't given it to, because it's like I was just being nice, but that's also me just needing to be more assertive and being like, well, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
So, and recognizing that that's not going to end someone's world, and if it does, then that is actually very much their problem, not
It is
mine.
their problem. Yeah.
So
yeah, no, if they can't handle somebody saying no, then there's an issue.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to be with that person anyways.
Right. That's for sure. And the thing is, like, I'm gonna be happy to give my number to someone that I know. I mean, I don't even think I want to date. I would like to be friends.
Yeah.
And then possibly if they wanted to talk about getting married, then we can do that. I don't really understand this whole dating thing anymore. It just blows. I don't know. Like I said, that's a different podcast.
It is a totally different podcast, but I couldn't imagine being somebody who's single today. I think it'd be very difficult.
Me either. I don't know how they do it. That's why I'm just like, you guys have fun with that. I kind of checked myself out of all of that.
That's funny.
So
do you have any other events coming up?
Yep. The other one that I'm working on, it's called the Festival of Praise. My friend Jonathan that leads worship at All Nations Christian Church. It's something that he's done. I think that he's done it 1 year longer. It's either 1 year longer or 1 year less than I've done when September ends. So it's kind of around the same longevity, but it's all praise and worship, music and dance. And it's like when September ends, it's kind of like a community event. We're not really focused on who's the best performer. We just want to share stories and share our lives and be our authentic selves. Jonathan is getting like some really great performers and paying money for them. And sometimes it's people you've actually heard of. So we have a meeting for that tomorrow, actually, to talk about that and see who's on the performance roster and what the next steps are in performing that. I know it's going to take place in November. So Festival of Praise, check it out. It's going to be great.
You're a busy person, Erica.
Yes.
Well, thank you for making time doing the podcast. It was fun. It's been fun catching up.
Yes.
I feel like this was a lot more fun than the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, all the links will be in the show notes. So go there and find it.
Okie dokie.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Deuces.